Hello and welcome, Call of Duty fans. We are here. We are live. The CEA, that's the Corporate Esports Association's Fall 2024 COD Finals coming hot at you. Coming hot at you. We've had a lot of teams going forth and doing crazy battle through the regular season, and now we come forth for a best of 7 grand finals. I'm FBI Tugboat. Here with me, as always, is Kamaka18. Kamaka, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's always a good day when I get to cast some Call of Duty, especially when I get to cast some Call of Duty with the amazing FBI Tugboat for CEA. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got the Fall 2024 Finals for COD coming right at you between Garmin Navigators of the Nexus versus General Motors White. General Motors had two teams, and unfortunately they had to fight each other to get here. So the surviving sibling is got a lot riding on their shoulders in this best of 7 that we're about to go into.
Yes, we're talking about undying honor and glory. We're talking about getting it done for the sister team, right? You had to put them down out in the field here, not to get to grand finals. One of you had to get here, but now it is on you to go forth and show glory for the squad, right? For the General Motors squad. Garmin, yes, as the Navigators of the Nexus. What a name. What a name. I got to say, amazing name. Amazing name. It instills fear into the hearts of your opponents.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like, coming from like League of Legends background myself, it sounds like like a League of Legends team, but totally valid, totally cool, whatever you want to do for Call of Duty also, but we'll see how well they can navigate on this Rio hardpoint in map number 1. It's been a little bit because, you know, we're in the next Call of Duty life cycle right now. So it's been a little while since I've casted some Rio Hardpoint, but from what I remember, I used to cast this like day in, day out ever since it came out. And so, yeah, I'm curious to see how these guys have been keeping up with it and if they've even adapted the meta slightly since we like left off.
Adopted the meta, made it into their own. We're going to be hopping in a game here in just a second. Let's run through maps and modes for you. Hardpoint Rio, Search and Destroy Invasion. Our control map for the third map will be Karachi. Hardpoint will be 6-star. Second hardpoint will be 6-star. Fifth map, if we get there, Kamaka, in this best of 7, Search and Destroy Rio, Control, Invasion, Search and Destroy, High Rise if we get all the way down to 7 maps. Let's hop on into this one and get this action started for the Corporate Esports Association. Now, lots of prizes on board here. You were talking a little bit about like how strats may have changed since this game came out of the meta, right? We're obviously Black Ops 6 now.
Right. Yeah, I don't foresee things changing too much. Clearly, this is pretty much exactly how you would expect a hill like this to go. But Cover is going to be doing a lot of the slaying to start things off. 3 kills in a row for him.
Rival 9 sings loud. Let's talk about these teams the individuals on this team. Looking at GM White, if you'll do the navigators for me. I'm looking at Dizzy. I'm looking at P._11. I'm looking at that Ginger with a bunch of R's on the end. And Z Papas making up the GM White 2 squad.
Yeah, for navigators to the Nexus, we've got Raging Rhino, Pure Penguins, High, and Cover. Cover is the one that's catching my eye currently right now, as he's got 4 kills and only 1 singular death. As this hill's starting to come a little bit to an end, we see Navigators as the Nexus, looking to put some pressure on Next, and Raging Rhino, who's been pretty much on the outside of the map the entire time, is going to look to come to fruition with a flank.
On board with them, that MCW, that AR in hand, and laying down destruction wherever, as I say that, maybe he was, yeah. That's a good one, Kyle. Yeah, maybe messing with settings or something like that. Kind of unanticipated right there, but Dizzy's on top of this one and knows. I believe, yeah, they did lose that. They did lose that gunfight right there. The red player did, of course. Now Dizzy gets a little bit of assistance.
Right, at the end of the day, GM White is going to be getting a complete wipe up against Navigators to the Nexus. When I was casting challengers in collegiate Call of Duty, you would typically see teams on this end of things just give things up and go straight for Next. That's exactly what Navigators and the Nexus are doing. Pretty smart call on their part, and Cover is going to get until that spawn and is about to be pressured. Bit of a fight for the spawn right now. Z Papas is going to be getting a little bit beaten down by Cover. And so that does make a little bit of an uneasy situation for GM White, and it'll allow Navigators of the Nexus to potentially break back in here.
There you go, on board with Pure Penguins. I thought that said Purple Penguins when I was first looking at it. It's kind of a funny mental image, but just like that, Cover getting put down where they stand. Pinstripe kill feed as of right now, and a lot of back and forth so far, Kyle. 72-26. This is the beginnings of something beautiful here for GM White, but a single difference, or a difference of a single hard point, is no real lead indeed, if you ask the tugboat.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid lead for GM White, in my personal opinion. GM White, they're going to be a little bit out-rotating their opponents going to the next one. Last little hit here, don't hate it for P-Dot. It denies them a little bit of time where they're already quite behind. And so GM White setting themselves up pretty nicely on this next hill.
I Am Groot going to be taken down by their teammate. From on high with the Renetti making spaghetti. Love it. GM White now 45 seconds on top here. They take all of this, Kyle. This will be building more towards a real beautiful lead.
Yeah, I mean, just starting to get a little bit out of control here, GM White. They're really just got themselves positioned very well. They're funneling Navigators of the Nexus through this one little area here. Usually when you see Navigators of the Nexus or any team holding on to that garage area, it's the beginning of a hill break. But GM White are just positioning themselves so nicely to where they're pretty much able to just funnel them through the one spot and just gun them down with their ARs. Set
them up. Knock them down. Not exactly a bowling match that's going on right now, but that could be related. Fantastic stuff. Let's take a look here on board Now with Cover, survives the stun, gets it out, and pays all the attention in the world down bottom. Person up top takes him down. GM White all over this hard point now with a little bit of assistance from on high.
Right, Navigators of the Nexus are going to be throwing down some trophy systems. Don't want to be getting naded as they're approaching the objective. Nice little kill there from Cover, trying to put his teammate in his backpack and get something going in this series, because GM White is sort of leaving them in the dust right now currently. Raging Rhino, solid little turnaround, looking for another, but can't quite get it on to Dizzy. And so GM White still just holding down very strongly on this objective.
I'd hate to always just point fingers at the math, but at a certain point, you have to look at Dizzy at 20 and 10. Oh, well, you look at P-Dot. Oh, that's 2 and 11. Well, he's got far and away the most time in the hill, in the hard point, excuse me, for his entire squad. That Ginger, positive 14-11. Nothing really to write home about. 11 and 10 technically positive there for Z Papas. If you take a look at the other side, there's not anybody positive except for Cover. And we go over to Cover just in time for him to be the 4th of 4 players to get taken down. Full wipe against Navigators in the Nexus. GM White is absolutely sailing right now.
I mean, yeah, every player has their role. You got your Slayers and Dizzy. PETA is going to be the hill kitten, as we call them. The person that just sits on the hill, soaks up all the time. And, I mean, hey, you can have a team full of, like, Slayers, but if no one's getting any of the hill time, you're not winning. Simple as that. So,
yep.
GM White fulfilling the roles quite well, I'd say.
I mean, it's true. It's not always, like, the sexiest of positions. It's not always going to be the one that is played on replays or made out of montages, but it is going to be the player that goes forth and ultimately wins you the game. Staring down the barrel of 1.5 minutes right now, about as much as any 2 other players on the other side of Navigators of the Nexus. 100-point plus difference right now. Is there a way? I mean, obviously there's a way for the Navigators to come back at this, but I want to ask you, what is the way that you would employ if you were a coach for the Navigators Nexus for them to come back in this game number 1?
Okay, they need to slow down just a little bit. I know that sounds crazy, but they really do need to slow down. They need to make some hits out as a full concerted effort as a team. Get a little bit of a flank going on here. Cover's actually in a really, really good position to make a play if it's pinched out with the rest of his team. Cover, as you can see, going on the objective now, and he's actually going to do it very, very well by himself. Teammates are going to be hopping on the objective now with him, but what I was saying is they just need to make sure that they are just coordinating themselves a little bit more, not just running off spawn towards these objectives.
The trophy system fratricide right there, right? Getting taken down, throwing the trophy system, getting taken down by a trophy system because it's intercepting your trophy system, so a trophy system's while trophy systems, right?
Trophyception.
Love it. Making me dizzy there as Dizzy does drop 26 and 15. Main Slayer rolls, as you were saying, really being exemplified in Dizzy and in that Ginger as of right now. Flirting, well, not flirting with 200 anymore. We're past 200. And 40 points or so. Yeah,
we're flirting with death here for GM White. We're flirting with victory, I guess you could say, from their perspective. Cover is going to try his damnedest to make it not happen, but GM White are just so set up on this objective. Navigators of the Nexus got like 1 or 2 good hits left in them.
Yeah, really only a couple more opportunities as we go back to this first the second hard point, excuse me. Wait, no, this is first. Yeah, this is the first full rotation, right?
Yeah. This is the second. This is the 3rd hill of the 2nd rotation.
I don't know anything, man. I don't know anything. We're on Modern Warfare now, right? My mind's been Black Ops 6. Defending that,
no
Pure Penguins taken down right. There's GM Whites. Yeah, they're just spitting distance away from finishing this out.
Yeah, Navigators of the Nexus are going to do enough where they're not able to win off that objective. Big gunfight win from Cover. If he had lost that, that's literally the game, and that it allows the rest of his team to set up quite nicely on this objective. They got to get Z Papas out of this position here if they're going to want to have just total zonal control. But Dizzy, you can see he has the cruise, calling it in, softening up the objective. Ginger with a very key gunfight. If he can get Ty out of here, this could be what they need to break back in.
Needs and then more. Okay, so Navigators. I mean, at least getting to 125, so, you know, you're not getting, like, doubled up on or something like that. But as all shot... Okay, excuse me. Had shots on. Pure Penguin just held that thing down and did not let go. Fantastic stuff. I mean, it seems very, very difficult to come back and refuse 6 points here. Has happened, though. Come on, go.
Yeah, and it's definitely a viable thing that you can try to do. P-Dot going for that. He knows that he has complete control over the next hill, which, yeah, this might be a little bit of a rough one for Navigators. They're going to have to sprint all the way over here, and they may barely have enough time to touch it, but it's going to be quite the struggle.
Yeah, and with that, Raging Rhino, teammate down, not going to be enough on that one. GM White just ultimately built themselves up way too far of a lead, and it's going to end out about, yeah, there you go, 250 to 144. So, 100-point club, yes, doesn't feel good, yes, but just getting a little bit of a tester, right? A little bit of feeler here for GM White, which has traditionally been so far. I mean, they're undefeated, right? They're undefeated here within the. Yeah, so yeah, 8-0 right here. I'm not sure if they've dropped any individual games, Kyle, like within their series coming up to this point. But I'm looking at the website and I see 8-0, 24 points, 3 points per victory.
Right, yeah, they're still continuing on a pretty solid undefeated streak, and I mean, we can definitely see why. They got great rotations, great setups. They always seemed like they were together. They didn't really make any individual chows. I did see a few there just a little bit, but they were intelligently made ones, like going for flanks around the back while your teammates are pushing from the front. Those are acceptable individual plays to be making, and they are made by the winning team. And so I'm not going to question it. Invasion is what we have next here, Jordan, and it is going to be in Search and Destroy. This is a map that I've seen quite a lot of interesting breakout strats, probably some more like, I don't know. This is the map that I get the most like, technical with my breakout strats of any Call of Duty map in like the previous game. There's just like a lot of things that you can do, like just full nading tank, full setting it down the middle of the map, going on the right, your pinch up plays for the player over on B behind in the construction site. There's just a lot of different things you can do off rip and take advantage of the fact that you don't have trophy systems yet.
Yeah, Invasion, super, super interesting when you come to the Search and Destroy. Obviously, we just had the respawn game mode. We kind of look to see if GM White's like able to continue that in. Obviously, having good slaying capability is never going to, do you bad within a Call of Duty game. We didn't really get to it earlier, as well as talk a little bit about what's at stakes here. So we have a 60-30-10 split for the prizing here for, obviously, third place already figured out. So this is basically a match here for 60-30, and of course, the total being 800, so that is 480, 240, and obviously we're going forth and this is being given to charity within these players' names. So as adults, it's nice for tax purposes. Let's just put it like that, right? This is not going directly into the pockets of players necessarily, but instead going to a solid cause is going to make this world a better place. All about it. Love CEA, and that's generally how they've been doing here. Kamaka, believe we're on task for a short break here. Do you have anything else for the good people before we go to a short break before our Invasion Search and Destroy?
Nothing right now, but ladies and gentlemen, we'll be getting into the nitty gritty of. Oh, I guess we're actually getting into the nitty gritty right now, as yeah, the game is about to be starting.
Absolutely. So again, that's 480 there for first, 240 for second. Love it. Invasion, Search and Destroy coming up right now. Based on what we saw, obviously was the dominance and slaying here for GM White, but it was more than that. It was the coordination, and I feel like that's what really sings supreme on Search and Destroy, Kyle. Do we feel like we have a mild edge here for GM White?
I would say absolutely yes. Dizzy, he definitely popped off, but I feel like part of that was because his teammates also enabled him to pop off in addition to him being very good individually. Starting frag is going to be going in the hands of GM White, and so, yeah, it's starting to look pretty good for them to continue their winning streak.
Penguins and Ty last alive. Papos. What's that head at? No, 3 versus 2 is much more manageable, Kyle.
Yeah, especially if they're able to find P-Dot here. They should have a line of sight where they're able to find him, and indeed they do. Dizzy, going to take a little bit of a challenge here, back on the tank. Does kill one, and that leaves Pure Penguins all by himself. In the meantime, GM White has used the Chaos to go and get the bomb plant down. Dizzy going to be seeing him cross, running right into the path of Ginger. Wins the fight, though, crazily enough. But knows that Dizzy's on his backside. Good shot from Penguins! No way he's able to pull that off. And somehow, some way, Navigators of the Nexus pull one over and win this round number 1, Jordan.
Fantastic. Somehow, some way, that is Penguins right there, putting the squad on the back. 4 kills for Penguin by themselves. Fantastic stuff. Now, they did get damage assisted a little bit, but the final blows were all the way through, especially Renetti for the last one right here. Perfectly timed as well. If there was 15 seconds past this, now you're looking at a situation where the defensive player in that situation, right, can just come over and play bomb. Like you can kill me as long as you take a couple seconds doing it. Now you're not going to have enough time to defuse.
Yeah, other amazing thing to point out is that Pure Penguins got the ace there. And so, yeah, we were talking about Dizzy being a little bit of a backpack carry for GMY. It looks like Pure Penguins might be that for Navigators in the Search and Destroy. Could be, as they're making their way downtown, walking fast towards the B-bomb site.
It's going to be Ginger's face that passes. Pure Penguins taken down, so no streak for you, my friend. On board with Dizzy right now. They know that one player is over there. What they don't know is whether that's an SMG or an AR firing back at them. Obviously, one of those having a little bit different medium range capabilities. I gotta say, yeah, Navigators and Nexus have to do a little bit of a better job just kind of checking corners and stuff like that. Just awareness, right? And that's a couple of times now that they've gotten taken down here in unideal situations. They came off the back and were really spawned from not really paying attention. Obviously, I'm not talking about that situation right there. You know, it was a sticky one. Yeah, it was a 2v1. But previously in this game, in this map, excuse me, where they're just not really, you know, respawn. Okay, you can do away with it. Go right on back to the map and search and destroy. These are not mistakes you can make.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there, Jordan. There are some times where some of the players have been walking into areas that they should probably clear out just a little bit better. Like, especially the area like Tank. If you're going to take a peek through there, you got to be absolutely certain that there's no one there. That is one of the most highly saturated positions in terms of enemy presence when you're on the attacking or defending side. It's one of the power positions that if you haven't completely cleared it out, you probably shouldn't be just peeking out there, especially looking towards your opponent's spawn, but we'll forgive him for it. And we'll see how Cobra does up against his full team send towards B.
Yeah, Cobra's by themselves. We see Ty over there by Tank. So securing this area, maybe not a bad idea here in their efforts against GMY. Just like that, they lose 2, they lose 3. Okay, we have a 4v1. Will we see the full comeback? No, we will not. Navigators of the Nexus going to take it by kills in round number 3.
Yeah, here's the cover that a little bit of the cover that we saw in the last map. He's going to be, yeah, now at 4-2, looking pretty solid here. And that gunfight went up against Dizzy himself. I mean, like we said, Dizzy's probably one of the front runners for GM White. Let's not forget, he was putting up the most numbers for GM White in the last half. I think he ended up like over 20 kills, probably around like a 2 KD or something like that. And so, yeah, killing that guy, no easy feat by any means.
Oh, here's one for you as well. Raging Rhino out, Biz Nuts here for Navigators of the Nexus in. That was at the beginning of this map as well. That was not mid-round subs either. Just something to pay attention to. Perhaps Raging Rhino, more of a respawn game mode player.
I don't know why, but I absolutely love that name. So,
Biz Nuts.
Yeah, great. And so, yeah, drawing first blood, Navigators of the Nexus do have a little bit of playing power here, slowing things down. This is something that I see a lot of really good teams do. Well, I would when the game was still in its life cycle. But unfortunately, they are not going to be taking the best of advantage of it, and PDOT's going to be getting things right back in their favor. It does eventually go down to Penguin, and bomb will be recovered, but making up a lot of ground for GM White.
Making up a lot of ground here. Up close and personal, Penguins wins again. I'm going to say that's bugged right there because Penguins was on a 4-0 to start this one out here, now on a 2 streak. Correct. We'll get those numbers updated as best we can, guys. Plant coming in here. Pure Penguins got the cover from Ty as well. Okay, if they'd have dawdled a little bit longer, this might have been a different story. As Ginger was just coming through and trying to find where this bomb was going. They knew it was going somewhere, A or B. So I wasn't 100% sure on where that was. Now moving through tanks. Gonna get a little bit of a unique angle, maybe something unanticipated, and does not. Navigators in the Nexus gonna take down another one.
Yeah, there's only really 2 or maybe 3 ways that he can come from there. One is straight from their base. The other is from the middle of the map. Ty is anticipating that, oh, he's probably not going to fully wrap into our base. He's probably going to take one of the shorter routes. So he was watching mid. If he was a little bit more out of their line of sight for longer, then Ty may have started looking towards the base, but Navigators of the Nexus, really good post plant setup there.
Yeah, I think it came down to time as well. Like, do you want to invest that time knowing it may not even be enough, or do you just want to go ahead and chow, take down one, come back, maybe get a little healing back, go for the second? It's kind of almost a philosophical question at that point, Kyle.
Yep. Dizzy gonna get a little bit blown up by a car, unfortunately for him. Sorry, Ty is gonna get blown up by Dizzy on that car. And Business is actually getting really aggressive with this. Crazy run up into the base for him. Kills one. Maybe able to turn. Oh, so close.
Okay.
So close onto A-Dot. But that does leave just Cover left for Nexus.
Caught timing right there. The reload comes in, half a second later, blah, blah. Oh, well. We're looking at a 1v3, and GM White has got their finger on the pulse of this game, number 5. Longer range shots, and that's going to be enough for GM White to take one down. I got to say, 3-1 feels like the beginning of something beautiful. That goes 4-1. There are alarm bells going off for GM White. Brings this one back to a score difference of 1, and this is still anybody's game.
Yep, still anybody's game. However, mathematically, GM White are now going to have to win at least 2 rounds in a row. Otherwise, Navigators of the Nexus, if they keep trading round for round like this, then Navigators of the Nexus, mathematically, will just straight up win. So, GM White, maybe that time is going to be now, and I'm curious to see what they're going to try and do differently here, if anything. Looks like they're going to be putting a little bit more emphasis towards this tank area. I think that's a really good decision. Otherwise, because you can just dictate a lot of the map pressure from that area there. You can go straight over to B, you can shoot people from A, you basically prevent them from getting A at all. It's just a really strong position for GM White to be having.
Yeah, and Navigators are moving like really, really slow. They're mostly together. Well, now they're playing more of like a two duos type, just trying to move through here. There's all 4 of them meeting back together. Okay, so throughout this like little rolling death ball of 4 players, right? They split off for a little while, take a kill, come on to point right here, get it going. A great job from P-Dot. Just open this one up, soften them up just a little bit more. We have a 3v3, Kyle.
Yep, and they're able to pinch out Biznuts. Very nice. But Cover's taking a little bit of a route. In the meantime, Pure Penguins is doing a really good job of just playing his life in the back here. Wasting a lot of time. They do eventually find an angle onto him as well, but Cover is now in a position on the tank. Probably not going to be aware of this. Finds one. They're going to slide in, and great shots from Dizzy. 3 in a row here is going to get the defuse, and there's your second round in a row. GM White are going to be getting a little bit mathematically better odds of winning this series.
Yeah, so after Navigators does it, like the pressure is put onto them 2 rounds back to back, because if you trade all the way up, we're going to win 6-4. As it is, anybody's game right now. Basically, first to 3 at this point.
At the halfway point, we're completely tied. Navigators of the Nexus going to be on the defensive side. Their last defense did not quite go so well. GM White have won the last 2 rounds in a row now, just from doing some really, really solid hits out. And so I'm curious to see what Navigators and Nexus are going to do. They're going to be getting a little bit aggressive towards B, and with that blood, usually there's only one guy towards B, so this enables GM White to just rush the bomb site if they want to.
Yeah, Dizzy's just covering this one all the way up. You got to see the comms here coming for his Papas. Okay, so that's 1. Biznets gets really, really low. They're going to try. No. Oh, yeah. So it just comes out a quarter of a second too soon, right? You sit back just, again, a quarter of a second, let that healing start back up as it was. It was kind of in the process right there. Shots ring out. Dizzy on a spree. Now, do you try and give Dizzy this last kill to, like, get something going for later rounds? Okay.
Well, clearly, GM, I think the answer is no. And they are going to be getting another round in a row. That's 3 wins in a row for them. Maybe causing Garmin to sweat just a little bit, possibly. I don't know. But if I were a player in this situation, I'd be starting to feel like, guys, we got to do something. But yeah, GM, they just seem to be, I don't know. It's a good combination of just making concerted plays together, like full hitting out A, full hitting out B, and just finding an over-aggressive play coming out from Navigators as a Nexus at the same time has just been a winning formula for them.
Yeah, Navigators have had great starting strats, but it's just gone down to execution at that point. And outside of that first round, when it does come down to just kills, GM White is coming out on top every single time. There's the stun, tries to get something going, and does. Cobra gives him one to the head, and a quick arming coming in here onto A, and it does. Wow, so talk about an individual performance, and then putting the pressure onto this defensive squad.
Yep, Ty in a good position to catch this rat in their base. He doesn't quite realize that he's here just yet because Dizzy's been doing a really good job of playing his hand, not overplaying his hand. He might be able to slide in onto Ty and does do so. Now, all that's left is the people on the bomb site. Not a lot of time left. They do find Ginger, though, and that puts a lot under the very capable shoulders of Dizzy. 6 kills in a row. Can he make it 7? Yes, he does. Chow coming around the back, doesn't know it. Has to check the bomb. Oh. He does at least get him off a bit. Okay. Even if he didn't win that fight, it was still going to be in the favor of Nexus.
Yeah, so even if he'd taken the K right there, not 100% sure if he would have had enough time to defuse, but you gotta look at Cover almost giving this one up, right? Pulling sights off, thinking that you had the kill. Done it before, I will probably do it again, and it never feels good, Kyle.
Yeah, it's like one of those
if he hadn't gotten that kill, I meant.
Yeah, it's like one of those kills that you feel like you should just definitely get. And Cover did get it, but if I was in a situation like that and I got turned on, I'd probably turn off my console, bro.
Just anyways, beep, just donezo. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm all right, yo, sub me out.
Yes, sub me out. Hey, it's time for Rhino to come back in here. He's not an S&D player. I don't care. Oh, that's funny.
Anyways, GM White, tie game once again. And it looks like Navigators and Nexus are playing a lot more tight, and I really do like this because, again, a lot of their misfortune has come from the fact that they've been just getting a little bit caught out. Like an over-aggressive Chow running down to their spawn, trying to get a kill aggressively, or not standing close enough to the teammates where they're able to get a trade out. Unfortunately, they will still get first-blooded, but Pure Penguins is trying really hard to fish for this kill on the bomb planter. I'm going to try and cook a nade to perfection on this guy, and I don't think they have put a trophy system down. It is nuts. Coming around the back, can make a flank.
It's what we need if they want to utilize it, but a 2v4, excuse me, 2v3 got a lot better right there. Penguins trying to get to the one on the outside, not going to happen. Damage peppered in right there, and GM White comes out on top. Last man standing type situation, and we are now on map point, Kamaka.
Yep, and it's looking really good for GM White to shut things down. They found their formula, and they're just keeping on to it. First blood, going straight to an objective, planting it, and just carrying their manpower advantage to the post plant. Navigators of the Nexus, again, I feel like if they just tighten up just a little bit, play their trades just a little bit better, try and play a little bit different angles to where if you walk past it, your teammate can actually help you. They can still find some of these early plays for GM White. They can expect them to come to them because that's just what they've been doing. They've been waiting for a kill to come to them. If it doesn't, it might make them a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this... There you go. Oh, no, sorry. That was the other way around. I was about to say, I'm really interested to see how this goes if Navigators get this first K, but this just got a lot harder here with some death from above. Oh. That's a two-piece. Rack 'em up as Cobra gets dropped, and it's a 6-4 win for GM White. Nicely done. I mean, does this happen without the without the destruction from on high? Maybe not. That was 2 easy kills right there, and maybe we'd still be watching this one go down. But as it is, man, Navigator still had to take that round and then another one after that to take down the dub. So, taking a look at the numbers, Mason, what do they mean? 15-4 there for Dizzy, 3,300 damage. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's pretty disgusting performance from Drizzy once again, in a good way, obviously. Yeah, we saw him putting up high numbers in the hard point, and so it's not too shocking to be seeing him doing epic back-to-back performances like that. But, I mean, yeah, especially with that cruise missile dropping it down and getting a solid 2 kills there. But I think even without the cruise missile, they were still looking pretty good. It's just a little bit of a cherry on top, a little bit of a pizzazz to finish things off type situation. But Yeah, dude, they looked really good in that search and destroy. Again, finding the first blood and then just going straight onto the objective, playing the advantage. It's just a winning formula at the end of the day. It's really hard to play against if you're not playing tight and punishing any attempt from your opponents to go for a chow onto one of your exposed players.
Yeah, like I feel like Navigators in the Nexus had some serious opportunities across the first couple of these games, right? Like, or sorry, towards the middle meat of that map, right? They were sitting out. You could basically see their see their strats like plastered on their t-shirts here. At first, it was like the full 4 players, and they'd kind of move out into like 2 duos right here, take a pick, and when they were taking picks, they had awesome opportunities at these maps. As it was, GM White, like I'd hate to boil SND down to something this simple, but it just seems like they would take the first and then just most of the time play it to kills after that. Like, yes, put in bump, put on pressure, try and get this defuse or you know, the explosioner, right, to try and take that round win. But this is almost seemed like all that was kind of put by the wayside, and it was just going down to like a little mini team deathmatch every single round.
Yeah, what it seemed like to me, Tug, is after those couple of rounds that GM actually started winning a couple of rounds in a row, Nexus just felt the pressure to make something happen, to take the game back into their hands by their own merit. And so they just kept making these really aggressive chows, which unfortunately for them, GM White were ready for, and they punished them for every single time.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And it's that crucial punishment that Navigators just were not able to come back on top of. Karachi, that's a control here. If this goes away of GM White here, Kyle, we may be staring down the barrel of a real short series for the best of 7, that is. Navigators takes this. There'll be a little bit of light at the tunnel here because they'll have to do that back-to-back to bring this one back and make it into a tied series. We'd love to see a best of 7 go all the way down to the 7th.
And we could still see it, unless Dizzy just absolutely dunks on these guys here, looking for the pistol whip, and oh man, Dizzy, 2 for the price of absolutely free. Doesn't even have to trade his own life for it. That's when you know you got a good deal there. But, yeah, GM White just getting dangerously close to capping A, and they've already got a guy on B here as well, starting to slow roll onto the objective.
That's crazy. That's crazy. There's just some insane movement and the assistance from below right there. Yeah, we have A all the way taken down from GM White. We have 2 more ticks here for B. And outside of Ty, well, no, excuse me, Ty and Cover both put up some decent KDs to begin this one, but it's not really nothing to a 5-1 Ginger and a 6-2 Dizzy.
Yeah, not much Cover can do there up against odds so difficult, but yeah, Navigators of the Nexus getting a little bit held up in their base by Ginger here. He's doing a really good job of zoning them off. And all the while, GM White is just stacking the objective and gunning them down. Do get a little bit gunned themselves, and they're going to slow things down slightly. One last good hit they still could have to stop P-Dot from winning it here.
There's the progress, there's the reload, gotta get to it, pistol in hand, not enough! P-Dot keeps his eyes on the prize, and the first round of control goes the way of GM White. We all knew Karachi was gonna be hard and heavy. My goodness, that was a quick one though, Kyle.
Yeah, solid ice in the veins from P-Dot there, as if he doesn't win that fight, then there's the possibility that the game just goes on just a little bit longer, and Navigators of the Nexus have a little bit of an opportunity to come back in, but no way, not today. Says P-Dot, and he's going to be just, yeah, putting a stop to that, getting GM White their first win on the attacking side. Now, I do have to say, Jordan, that winning on the attacking side is not necessarily uncommon. This map is one where you can definitely win a lot more on the attacking sides, especially if you play it the way that GM White did, where you go for that fast rotation like so. And so I wouldn't be feeling too bad about it for Navigators of the Nexus because, again, like I said, in comparison to other maps, there's a lot more attacking sided wins.
Yeah, just like kind of like the setup of this map, and given especially how this one, like, yes, it may seem like it has like a lot of angles to look at. What that really means is if you try and stay there and you try and hold defensive positions, there's about 40 different angles that attacking players can come in, and whether or not they anticipate it, they can just check it and immediately put it down afterwards. And this is
Ooh.
Did they actually get A? Somebody needs to get down there and clear that progress. P-Dot does not cover. A little bit of tunnel vision right there. If I'm Dizzy, do I go down there and try and get this progress done? Because that is not A solidified quite yet, and they're gonna get the tick. Okay, so I guess maybe if there's 3 players coming, there wouldn't have been significant progress taken off. You stay on your defensive position. What are you thinking there, Kyle?
Yeah, I think you just say don't really care unless you get like a couple more kills. If you're keeping track of their respawn timers, you'll know that they're all going to be coming back up pretty soon. And they respawn really, really close. And so they'll probably be there in about like a second or two before you can even get close to clearing that off. And so yeah, in my personal opinion, in experience, I would have kept my position. But it's not like a dire thing to do by any means. Right.
Yeah, and ain't a 1 + 1 = 2. It was definitely how you really have the feel for the situation at that time. But speaking of, we got about 100 seconds for Navigators to take down this B position. That's a little bit easier to defend than our way wide open A side.
Yep. But Ty is in a really, really annoying position for him to deal with. If his teammates can pinch out this with him, especially Biznuts, while Ty is just gunning them like clay pigeons flying over the wall. Oh my god, it is just a shooting gallery for Ty! Somebody get this man some assistance! He's just putting in work! But unfortunately, no follow-up is going to be made in time from Navigators.
Dude, no way! Almost gets it done there again, but it's going to be... who got P-Dot down? I didn't actually see that one. Pure Penguin. Yeah, it was Pure Penguin, excuse me. Pure Penguin's in the back. SMG sings and gets beat by the Renetti.
Yep. And so, with that, GM White are going to completely clear this progress bar. Biznut's trying to be a little bit annoying in the base and zone some people off, but unfortunately he's going to get found out pretty quick and ends up wasting one of Navigator of the Nexus's very few remaining lives. He's only got 1 spare, and so basically you got 1 last good push in you, maybe to make something happen, but Dizzy is going to put a stop to it before it even begins. Looking for another one, but damage is already done. Only 3 people left alive, period, for Navigators.
Okay, so, well, that was a decent job getting on top right here. If you take these 2 players down, you might have a shot at a little bit of progress here, but they're not looking at a whole lot of time. Cover covering the area with him. His team just got absolutely dusted earlier, but only 2 players left, 2 on 4 consistently, and now 1 on 4 for the rest of this one. Not going to happen, and GM White take down their 2nd round in a row.
Yep, looking good on both attack and defense, GM White. There were some good moments in there for Navigators, but again, they were just getting a little bit too divided up from each other. We saw Ty just putting in massive, disgustingly good work up in their base, shooting them as soon as they're hopping over the wall like lemmings. But yeah, again, just because there was like 1 or 2 players in the middle of the map stopping Navigators from just free running onto the objective, it really didn't amount to too much, unfortunately, for him. And so GM White are still going to win that round, and now we're on the cusp of just 3-0ing in this control.
Taking a look at the numbers and what they mean. 22-12, I'll let you all figure that out. 2-2 even for P-Dot. P-Dot was traditionally playing the Hill Kitten, which is affectionately referred to as position earlier. 6-2 there for Ginger, 4-3 for Z Papas.
Yep, and so looks like a little bit better of a hold coming out here from Navigators so far. Good control over the middle of the map. This is a position that they were denied the last time, and one of the things that enabled GM White to just blitz onto the objective and take it. You can see now that in addition to Papas, they've got a person going in there ready to take him on if Papas wasn't able to gun him down, but he did. So now, GM White looking to go for a little bit of a both sides play, going to both A and B to try and split up their opponents.
Yeah, and I gotta say, if I'm defending here in Karachi, I'm mostly holding down Cafe side. This is just so much, like we've been talking about this entire map, I feel like this is just so much easier to hold. Biznuts, it's a frag in there, tries to mix some things up, but GM White's mostly coming out on top there. They have a little bit of flak to take care of and do. That's gonna be the B side. Now all that stands between them and a 3rd map point is just a little point called A.
Yep, solid little flank from P-Dot, trying to set the stage for the 3-0 right here and now. Pure Penguin is trying to find him, but getting a little bit stuck on the wall. Sees him now, and that should be a pretty free kill there for him. But yeah, GM White is getting a little bit stuck up on the previous objective, which is giving Navigators a little bit of time to do some initial setup here, which could enable them to rebalance this game.
Yeah, no bueno right there. If GM White's going to get it done, that's not how it happens. A couple of shots to the back of your teammate there, and then you get finished afterwards. If we're just looking at the lives, we're dead even right now, 16 and 16.
Yeah, Navigators, though, they're in positions where they should have a fish in a barrel type situation up against GM White as soon as they try to fly in. But unfortunately for them, GM White are just turning this situation around right back onto them, getting control over the rooftops, the high positions. The people that were on the objective got gunned down, and the rest of them just could not assist because they're getting suppressed really hard. And now GM White looking to go get A and end off this map as well.
That's going to be first tick of progress here. Only 13 lives left, so there is going to be an advantage there, but it doesn't really come down until you get into the last of those respawns. Ty whips this one around quickly as he sends some shots. Couple of kills there for GM White. This feels like it might just go back down again, kind of a team deathmatch sort of situation. They know where they need to be. GM White knows where they're going to be, and now it's just going to be a matter of taking them down as they come. 12 and 5. GM White has not lost a life in about 60 seconds.
I mean, yeah, when you're in a position like GM White is, you can afford to go for kills. You can afford to get a little bit showboaty with it. Unfortunately, that will enable them to get a little bit counterattacked here, possibly. Only one guy on the objective, capping it very slowly. But Navigators of the Nexus, again, damage is done. They have only like 1 or 2 guys left. Dizzy kills 1, only 1 left, and he falls as well. GM White capturing all the zones and are going to be winning this map number 3 as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Kabaka. Color me surprised, right? We saw a little bit of comeback here from the Navigators in the Nexus in the hard point here, and then the Search and Destroy looked like, okay, this is a different squad. Now we get to like this little blend of, full-on unlimited respawn, obviously with hard point, and then no respawn whatsoever with Search and Destroy, and you kind of feel like this is a situation where the Navigators of the Nexus have an opportunity to come out, take a map point, and make this a little bit more of a competitive series. But as it is now, Kalmaka, the Navigators of the Nexus have to go with a full reverse sweep to take down this series.
Yeah, that is like one of the hardest things to do in all of Call of Duty, but we'll see if they can pull it off. We are going to be going to a little bit of a 6-star hardpoint, probably one of the maps that has been played the least. It's the one that came out towards the closest to the end of the Call of Duty life cycle, well, this Call of Duty's life cycle.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, if the name of the game for you, Jordan, is just take advantage of lack of knowledge on a map, this could be the one for that. That's a very possible way that Nexus could be winning this one out if they just have managed to play this one a little bit more before the end of the Call of Duty than their opponents. It's possible. I really don't know. But typically, I do have to say as well, in maps that people just don't really know the rotations or the setups as well as others, the teams that are just better at slaying out typically do tend to thrive. And so far, that has been General Motors. So I'm looking at it from both sides, but I still got to give it to General Motors a little bit.
I have to agree with you as well. I mean, just using the past to predict the future here, have to give the edge to General Motors White. They haven't dropped a match so far in this competition here for the CEA Fall 2024 COD competitions. And obviously they dropped individual search and destroy rounds. They came a little close to dropping a single control round, but there's just not a whole lot that GM has done that says, oh, they're going to lose another hardpoint map. I'll say though, Navigators and Nexus do exactly, or kind of like similar, I should say, not exactly, obviously, what you did in the search and destroy here. Control the pace of play, go forth, and force GM White to play your game. That's what I'm talking about here, and that's how the Navigators and the Nexus can take down this 6-star hardpoint.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that these guys like to play incredibly off-the-wall aggressive, and on a map as small as this, you can definitely, if you're able to get people in just like a spiral of death, that's something you can absolutely do. And that's a valid strategy, Jordan. If you're able to keep someone constantly dead at all times, you can't really push the objective. It's a death spiral, something that we saw happen quite a lot, especially in this last Call of Duty.
Yeah, and obviously a lot easier said than done. The full flank, and Pappas, I believe, kind of like, I gotta say, pays attention to the wrong player, right? It's always like whenever you see somebody at the back of somebody's head, it's like easy to be like, okay, that's me, but so much better to take out the player who's closer to you and actually firing back, as opposed to the one that should be an easy kill about a second later. if you finish that one out. On board with Dizzy. Dizzy finds a little bit off the dome here. Renetti tries to back up, and Raging Rhino going to find his trade.
Yep, and Navigators of the Nexus are going to be running up into their base as well. Covert trying to buy a little bit of space for his team as they're trying to desperately get some time off of this P2. GM White do have technically good spawns for it, but ooh, that might be changing as PDOT has just spawned out. Pinch out play is going to be putting Nexus to the test.
Yeah. I mean, 6-star is the huge map, but still, when you have... I mean, look at this. Like, basically the entire length of the map diagonally from this hard point is where Navigators and Nexus has spent a couple of them spawning out. Now Dizzy's going to have some fantastic positioning up behind Raging Rhino. I believe that was Cover earlier, not 100% sure right now, but as it is, Ginger is flying into this one. I mean, this hard point is always... I mean, what? There's like 4 different ways you can come into this one. It's always going to be hard fought over.
Yeah, especially if you don't have control over one side or the other. That's the major thing that Nexus lacked, is going into this. They were able to shoot them in the vent. They were able to shoot them from a whole bunch of different spots. They could really zone out the map if they wanted to. But unfortunately, prior to the hill popping, GM White sent PDOT around the back, or I think he spawned there, actually. So they weren't able to just zone them off like that, and they just got shot like from every single possible angle, like you're saying.
Rhino trying to find some cover right there. Can't quite get the mount up, but that's a lot of blue in the left side. Dizzy does fall, though. Pure Penguins cooking it up. Let's see what he can do. That's a decent rebound, but not based on where those players are holding at. This is just off the back of playing a lot of this Modern Warfare game, right? Knowing exactly where to hold this and where people are being coming in from and where they can launch nades at an angle.
I do like how Pure Penguins is trying to hit this, not just going straight in from the front like the rest of his team, and no one's really paying him any mind. He comes from behind, and he's going to be taking them all down. Well played from Navigators. And so, this should be a decent amount of hill time. Oh, sorry. I got to look at the clock before I say these things, bro. Not a lot of hill time at all, unfortunately, because GM White are going to be just soaking it all up and going straight to nets.
Yeah, so a tiny bit is their reward at the end, but now a full hold down here for GM White. Last player, though, Ginger, spawning a little bit farther behind. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. You see Ginger, number 3, moving on along here. He's going for a flank, but there's nobody to be flanked at that point because it's front-in defenses. That front line. Putting them down where they stand. Dizzy, and Dizzy, man. 15-5 right now.
Yeah. Good numbers as always for Dizzy. This dude just cannot be contained. He's like your Ronaldo of Call of Duty right now, in the field right now at least. And so, yeah, GM White are now over 130 points to the good over their opponents at the end of this first rotation. Ginger's got streaks. Dizzy's got streaks. It's starting to look like a slam dunk to send these things off for GM White, quite possibly. But I mean, on the flip side of that, Jordan, if you can do that in one rotation, it's possible that Navigators could do the same.
Oh my, I thought that was going to be the worst thing possible there for Ginger. Oh my goodness.
I thought he was going to assassinate him.
I thought he was going to assassinate him too, but coming up with 2, here comes the launch. Finds nothing from it there, Kyle. So this was... I would anticipate you hold this until you get a situation the Navigators are like really set up on.
I mean, I don't know what advice to give Navigators at this point. It's just looking pretty dire, but they are going to be going for a little bit of a late hit here. If they're able to get good kill numbers here, then it's possible that they could transition that into a good hold on next. But again, I feel like they are quite overcommitting here for not a lot of good results. They get 6 seconds, but they've left themselves quite open to a counterattack going into next. Is he going to be calling in a little bit of a cruise missile, and Ginger will be landing on the Cover. So, yeah, like I said, they left themselves open for a counterattack, and GM White are going to look to end it off this hill.
Yeah, they can definitely...
They're close.
Yeah. The map right there. They definitely get super close. They basically get within so close that it doesn't really... I mean, once you're talking about single-digit differences and another team that isn't quite at 50 yet, unfortunately, this is a snowball that started and now a full-on avalanche coming towards the Navigators of the Nexus.
Yeah, I do appreciate Cover trying to do his best, though, to zone him off and just make this a little bit more competitive. Cover now 5 in a row. If he can get a cruise missile, maybe? No, it's going to get shut down by Dizzy. So, yeah, Navigators of the Nexus, respectable hold going on here. It's they've got, I think, the most time on this hill. I think they just literally almost quadrupled their time off this hill, which is respectable. And they're actually going to be making their way towards next here as well. They do have to make sure they fully hit out the base. That's exactly what they're doing. Navigators of the Nexus starting to do some really good things here, not going to lie.
There you go. Yeah, Cover actually beating this one out means so much because, I mean, influencing spawns, obviously, but holding down corners. Now gets a couple of teammates spawning near him, though. This will set up for an easy offensive push. Rhino can't quite get it against the drop shot as Ty takes a mouthful of lead as well. Back and forth we go. Cover is just on one here, Kyle.
If he doesn't want to go down without a fight. Again, mad respect to Cover for how he's playing right now. And Navigators of the Nexus could very well be breaking 200 off this. Cover going to be dropping down low and giving him the moves once again. One on the flank. Can they find him, or will it be a devastating loss? The last little bit of this hill. No, it's looking like they're actually going to hold this one off as well. Impressive holding from Navigators of the Nexus. And GM White are going to be late hitting this once again for 4 seconds. This enables Navigators, if they win this 2v2, to really maybe make a comeback.
There you go. Cover, once again, front line situation. Cover, again, Ty finds another one, and that just broke them into triple-digit territory. Now, if they can keep this, I mean, it's hard to do, but if they can keep that ratio alive, like 50 to like 5 or something like that, Navigators of the Nexus have an honest shot at this.
Absolutely. They had an honest shot at it until that break came in. GM White looking pretty solid with it. Still some time left to break back in. But GM White is getting dangerously close. Dizzy, all his friends are dead, and now he's going to have to hop off the objective courtesy of the cruise that Cover got as well from that awesome kill spree. So it does enable them to go in here and possibly stop their opponents from winning the game right here, right now. No longer winning possible for GM on this objective, which is good for Navigators because they need all the time that they can get.
Yeah, but even 3 seconds, this will go down to like 245, 244, or something like this. Yeah, that's just a handful of points, and now with GM White completely covering it, that's not gonna be enough. 240 to 110 here as GM White takes down the series in 4-0 fashion.
Yeah, not just 4-0 in the series, but completely undefeated this entire season. This team is thick, this team is nasty, and they showed it well and truly here in the CEA Fall Finals for Call of Duty. And they are going to be getting the majority of the prize pool going to the charity of their choice.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just putting on a clinic there in the last game, Kamaka. Just fantastic stuff. Again, it feels like all 4 of these maps, except for maybe the control at certain points, or maybe even the control at certain points, really, it seemed like Navigators had full handle of this game, of the pacing, of everything they needed to go forth and win the game, and it was just GM White that just wrestles that from them actively, violently, all the way through here across all 4 maps to just come forth and take down the victory. 250 to 144. Again, there was plenty of opportunity there. 6 and 4 on the Search and Destroy. That was on Invasion there, and there was definitely opportunity for Navigators of the Nexus to come back on that one. Control 3-0, yes, but especially that second one where they were actually defending, it kind of seemed like, oh, maybe a little bit. And then towards the end, dude, Navigators of the Nexus put on an absolute clinic on how to play from behind, is all unfortunately for naught, Kamaka.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is all for naught for the Garmin Navigators of the Nexus. But I mean, hey, better luck next time. I'm sure that there are going to be more series coming up for CEA. They do a lot of things for a lot of different games. So make sure you guys, if you guys liked what you saw here, you guys can go ahead and drop a follow for them on all of their socials. And if you got a team that you want to get involved, then you can hit them up for that as well. They got, again, a lot of games going on here. I think they also do things for like League of Legends, Overwatch, Super Vibe, a lot of different games.
Oh, yeah, I've got the pleasure to do some of the Overwatch stuff here for CEA, but it's so interesting. In case you're just joining us, or in case you're seeing this for the very first time, what CEA essentially does is they just run competitions for various real world businesses and their employees, right? Like, how cool is that? Like, you might have a little bit of intra-office back and forth. Well, hey, how much better would that be if you can go forth and beat them and search and destroy and stuff like that, right? If you could, at the end of the day on the weekends, hop on the 6 and show them who's boss. Actually, obviously, all for fun right here. And again, the end result being various charities getting a little bit extra cash to go forth and make this world a better place. I believe we have some Valorant coming up here. Yeah, some Valorant coming up for CEA a little bit sooner. Obviously, a little bit of a different shooter, but a shooter nonetheless. At this point, I want to give a big shout out to CEA and our producer on the day, Ryan, for producing away, making our jobs as casters that much easier. And we very, very much appreciate that. Kamaka and I, at the end of the day, are just two guys screaming about esports in our rooms without our production staff. So again, very much appreciate that. I think that's going to be about it here for the CEA Fall 24 COD Finals, Kamaka. Do you have anything else for the good people before we do bid them adieu?
Well, nothing else, but I just really had a really great time today, and I want to just thank everyone for coming out that did come and see this. We had good gameplay, we had good banter, we had good production, and we had good causes. So yeah, take that with you for the rest of your day, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you have a good one.
Absolutely, guys. If you liked what you heard right there, at FBI_tugboat and Kamaka18, that's Kamaka KMAAKA. KMAAKA, yes, _18 there. I did it right. Thank you guys for watching so much. Appreciate you. We'll catch you on the flip side.